everybody, this is Will from the Apple One-to-One Training Channel. Thank you very much for joining us for this video. Today, we're going to talk about how to create a budget planner for your event. And in this case, I'm going to do an example of a wedding, but you could do this for anything, a birthday party. It could be for a graduation, anything you want to do to basically look at a category, a vendor, a budget, and actually showing you what you paid, and that way you can have it all inside of this sheet. Please like and subscribe our channel. We really do appreciate you guys supporting us and reaching out to us. And if you want to have a copy of this, don't worry, in our description it is there so you could download this. In this example, what I've done is we have a wedding planner here. So I took a couple of examples to show you what we have. So first off, we actually have the budget planner itself. This is a table that describes the total budget, what you spent, and how much you have left. And then we have contact information for your vendors. If you have a guest list, where you can put it all right here in a guest list. Seating chart, if you have to do a seating chart for any reason. A timeline, so that way you could do a timeline of your day. And like I said, we're doing a wedding as an example. Gift registry, and then a checklist of things that you need to do. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I created the sheet here, and I'm going to do the example of that. How I'm going to do that is I already created a blank sheet. And how you do that is by just hitting the plus sign right here, and then you can go ahead and show the sheet. So in this case, what we have to do is we have to first put a table in here. So I'm going to hit the table button right up top here, and it gives me a couple of samples of what I want to choose from. Now, because I created this like green style, and they have a whole bunch of different examples, I'm going to click on the basic one. What that does is it gives me a header and footer, which is what I want. I want a header and footer on the side, on the top, and it hasn't given me one on the bottom. If we go back to the budget planner, you can see that I do have one there, so I have to do that. So let's go and add a footer to this. If we go back to the budget planner, you can see how many columns I have, so I have to add some more. So what we're going to do is just take the little symbol right here and drag it over, and we have to go to I. And then we have to do more rows. We had 25 rows here. So I'm going to drag this till I get 25. Great. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to make this bigger. So if I click on the top here and I click it once, what this does now, if you can see these little squares, I can now extend this and make it bigger. That way it's easier for you to read. So looking up here, we can see what we need to add for that. So I'm going to go here and just type in category. Okay. And then I just have and then if we look at the budget planner, we have vendor and budget. So all I'm going to do is tab on my keyboard. And then here we go. I can put in vendor, tab, and then budget, and so on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the information from this table here. So I'm just going to highlight it, drag over here. I'm going to do edit, copy, go to my sheet, and select my row. I can select the whole row and paste it, and there you go. And now it added all those things right here to the side. Now I'm going to go down the category section. So under the budget planner, again, same deal. I'm just going to click and drag to make this easier to speed up the video a little bit. And then I'm just going to paste it because I'm already on number 2. And there we go, it pastes it over there. So you just type in everything you want to do. Then you would start typing in your vendors. So I'm a videographer, so we'll put WV Productions as the example here. And now we have budget. So now this is where we're going to start creating the formulas in here. So right now, first thing is I want to put down that my cost. So it is 200. So I'm going to select C, and then on the right side, we're going to go to cell. Data format, and I want to change it to a number, and it already has it as a 2 decimal places. We can also put in 1,000 separator, so if you want that comma in there just to make it a little bit easier, so I'm going to go with that. I'm also going to go and hit next, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so I can knock the size up a little bit. Okay, great. Now what I want to do is I want to copy this entire section, which is cell, and it is Obviously, we want it to be a currency. We have the 1,000 separators, so now the whole thing is done that way. Now, even though the text up here is text, as you can see, it doesn't understand it as currency. So next thing we have to do is go to actual. Now, to make this job a little bit easier, because I already formatted these cells, I'm just going to paste them over here. So I'm not going to copy the whole thing, because if I do the entire copy of the entire row, then that's going to mess things up. So one way to do this is I'm going to select here and then hold my shift key down and go to the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy just the format of the entire row. So Command C, and then I'm just going to click and go down here, Command V. It's going to paste the number, which is fine. I'm going to delete it in a second, but you can see that on the right side, it has currency and it has it set up. What I'm trying to do is just trying to avoid myself to having to change the inspector multiple times for the same formatting. So all I'm doing is selecting the top here, the bottom here. I'm not selecting this because then it would copy the text over, which I don't want it to do. So we're just pasting over all of the numbers, and I'm just going to get rid of them because I don't need them. But if I start typing, like for example, if I put deposit down, that someone put 200 down, you can see that the money amount is there. Now what we have to do also is set up our bottom row here for formulas, because now we want to be able to take all the information we're about to put in the budget, the actual, and everything. And what we need to do is make sure we have a balance here on the bottom. Going back to the budget planner, we're going to see how that works. So if I click on this, you can see it's highlighting everything in blue. The bottom left shows you the formulas, sum, and it tells you from C2 to C24. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to hit the equal sign. So how to create the formula. So we already have the formula up here. Now I'm going to just click and I'm just going to drag. And as I'm dragging, what it's doing is it's automatically making a sum formula. And now there it is. And as you can see, it's already formatted to be a little bit bolder. So now if I start inputting in some information in here, it's going to now add that on the bottom. To make things faster, I'm going to select everything in here. I'm going to copy that and then paste it. It messed up the formatting, so that's not good. So I don't want to do that. Click on here, and then up at the top, there's something called Paste and Match Style. Paste and Match Style is going to maintain the style that I've already set up here. So if I hit that, boom, and now everything has been set up. And of course, the formula is already made, and that's done. Now the formula is the same everywhere else. So everything is an add or a sum. So all I'm going to do is just drag this yellow across, and what it's going to do is it's going to automatically put that same formula here. So if I click on here, you can see the same formula applies. So the next formula we have to do is difference, because we want to show the budget, but how much I actually paid for it. And then you can see the difference in that value. So we have to do a minus in here. Let's go ahead and let's put some numbers in the actual. So I did a couple of things. So I have right here, you can see that there is sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller, but now I have to do the difference calculator. So I'm going to hit the equal sign, and the formula is the budget minus key, the actual. And then if I hit the check mark, there it is. And now it's telling me that the difference was negative $5,000 right there, which was the formula. Now all I got to do is put this formula everywhere else. So all I got to do is just drag down, and boom, there it is. It automatically put the formula in. I forgot to put it on the top, so let me just drag it to the top as well. And there we are. So again, look at the formula on the bottom left. You can see budget minus actual value. So some things are positive, some things are negative. You can see the negative number and the positive number here, but sometimes it's not as visual for you. So we're going to do something called conditional formatting here in the cell inspector. I'm going to add a rule. So you can see you have a bunch of rules in here. The one rule I want to do is I want it to be a negative, which show up a little bit more red. So under number, all the rules that I have here, I want it to be a negative. And as you can see, it automatically just put a red fill automatically, which is a great rule. Now visually you can see that there is a number here that is negative, and then you can see the positive. So I could add one more rule that a positive is green. And now you can see the difference. So if I start adding in, let's say the florist right now is $8,000, but it ends up being like $12,000 as an example. You can see the number now changed from green to red, and there's a negative number in there. So that takes care of the difference. Now we have deposit. There's nothing special about this section. It'll just be about putting your money down or your money towards something. And then the balance due. So this does require a formula. So if you look at the formula is that you have to do the actual and the deposit as the number. So what I'm going to do is go back to our sheet. We're going to do the equal sign and then venue minus deposit return. And there you are. And now I know the balance due for it. And then for the paid section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create checkboxes here. So I'm going to just go to here, and then I want it to be a checkbox. All right, let's go ahead and put the checkboxes here. That's a good idea to kind of like tell you, hey, I'm pretty much done here. We're going to go ahead and do that checkbox here in the cell. And then with the formula, let's say that the deposit has been done and then the balance due is here. And then you could just go ahead and change the number. Let's go back to 2,500. Oh, 25,000, sorry, that's a wrong number. Now the balance is 0, and then I could check the box off saying that my balance has been completed here. And that is how this budget planner was created. You could add notes here, and you could see the totals on the bottom. So I just didn't write total down here. That's the only thing I didn't do. And that's really the idea of creating the budget versus the actual versus the difference. Now, these are pretty easy. The last one I'll talk about is dashboard, because what I did here was give you a budget versus spend versus remaining. So all that's doing is that it's taking the numbers here on the bottom and just putting them into its own separate section. So if I go to sheet, what I'm going to do is hit the plus sign, new sheet. Again, we'll format this table. So we'll go under table, click on the green format, we'll keep it the same. I'm going to make this bigger, so you can see this in a bigger way. I'm now going to go here and just copy the text just to make this faster. Go ahead, I have it clicked here, and let's go to sheet 2. There it is. And all I got to do now is tell this section to grab the data here. So if I go to total budget, I hit the equal sign, I just go to sheet 1, and then what I do is I just click on the bottom button and then hit return. And now you can see it puts that value over here. So how does this number change? Well, if I go over and let's say that I changed the cake, it ended up being like $1,000. So we went from 52. So we have 52,875. And then if I go to sheet 2, you can see that number exists here as well. Same idea. We go the equal sign for actual spent. We look for the actuals here on the bottom. Hit return, adds it there. Same thing, remaining, equal sign, sheet 1, take the deposit, and that's how much I owe. So that's how you set this up as far as the budget planner and the dashboard, just see those specific things. There are no formulas or anything in this section, but you just create sheets and then you could just add these on here. So as you can see, there's no formulas in the rest of these. These are just simply different sheets, how you can set this up. This is great for a party event. And then what I want to do finally is I can change the sheet name. So I just go to the arrow, rename, and I'll call it the budget planner. I'll just call it budget. And then sheet 2, and I'll just call it as remaining. Or total money. There you are. And then a new feature that's built into numbers is you can actually color code your tab colors now. This is a brand new feature in the most recent version. So I'm going to have it as blue and then I go here, and then I would make it orange. So you can see as I'm clicking, it has these little lines now that indicate that. So this is a new feature built in here. You can see I did it here already. So we're going to have this available to you to download and work with if you need it. You can use it for weddings, graduations, or anything you like to do. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Thank you very much, and I love every single one of you.